Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of the Joe Tillery Show. I am the aforementioned Joe Tillery. I think that's the intro I went with last time. We'll stick to it. If not, sue me. Today's episode's a great one. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Thank you to all the support that we had in the last video. It was awesome to see everybody showing up for the JT Show, Joe Tillery Show. I'm not going to abbreviate it, but the point is, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate all that and more. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoy it. Today's video is going to rock. I'm going to be honest about that up front. I'm going to talk about a couple of different things, and I'll run you through the topics right now. The first thing, you see it in the thumbnail, we have a massive interview on the channel talking to the man himself, Arman Jovic, a dude that's a true guru of the game, someone that I'm excited to talk to. That's also why I have the headphones on right now, so they'll come off eventually. That's why I kind of look stupid right now, but that's the point. We're going to talk to Arman, and I'm excited to talk to him about Kostic, Rapieque, and what's next for the Cats. I know there's a lot of topics about that out there. I'm also going to talk a little bit about my bachelor party coming up. That's going to be a great time. We'll talk a little bit about these dumb Facebook ads I keep seeing. We'll talk about a couple different topics in the K-State community. The boys are recruiting. We'll talk about that. But for today's video, let's start off here talking to the man himself. Arman, you're on the Joe Tillery Show. Thank you so much for joining. I'm pumped to talk to you today, brother. You know your stuff. I just kind of raved about you off camera if you didn't hear me. But I'm excited to have you here today, and we're all pumped to see you. Let me start off here, because you've had the same question about, like, what is XYZ program getting with this specific player? What is this person going to get in this type of player? I'm going to avoid that question and just jump in here. There's a lot of talk about Andrej Kostic, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts, but there's been some buzz about first-round stuff. He's dapping up D-Rose at the Adidas Euro Camp. How do you feel about the comparison? Where does that hit you?
Yeah, I think for Kostic, I think the big thing with him is he's a natural born shot creator. And throughout his whole career, he's always been the guy for playing in Red Stars, youth teams, and playing in KK Dynamo this season in the KSL. He's been always just the main focal point of the offense. And I think the big thing about Kostic's game is he's a great shooter. No question. He shot 40% from three this year. Is a high volume. In Euro Camp, he struggled with shooting from three, but watching those games, he would pull up from three and transition. He would come off of a live screen and shoot contestedly. Like, his confidence is through the roof. And I think the biggest thing transitioning to the Big 12 is the physicality. Can he adapt? He's always been an average finisher. He's not a great athlete, so there are obviously question marks on the translation there. I think for what Kansas State has on the roster is they have obviously a star in Haggerty, but they're going to need their other pieces to really click. And I personally think Kostic, in my opinion, is really, really good in playing in 5-on-5 basketball in the sense of he's not just a scorer, where I think if you look at Bashir, for example, he might be a little bit too limited because he's just a great scorer. Same with Marcus Johnson. So I think Kostic has the upside because he can pass the ball. He's a really solid passer. He's a solid defender. There's just a lot of things that he does really well that doesn't really go on the stat sheet. And I think outside of his shooting, I think there's a lot of things he can do. So although Kostic is literally a high school graduation kid. He just graduated 3 weeks ago. He's super young still. He's coming in as kind of a seasoned, veteran. I know he hasn't played too much professional minutes, but he plays for Red Stars. It's a top EuroLeague team in Serbia. It's so many former NBA players on that team. So I think he's learned so much in those 2 to 3 years of him developing. I think transitioning to college shouldn't be a problem for him. I'm really excited to see what he looks like. But I think he's going to be really good. And in terms of NBA, I think he could get drafted in the first round. I'd say it could be like a solid first year where he averages like 12, maybe 13 a game, and then goes to 15, 16 as a sophomore, gets drafted. That's kind of how I see it personally, but that's my judgment on him.
Do you see him more as a shooting guard, small forward? What kind of role do you see him playing? I know he's got some versatility, but how would you call that?
Yeah, so it's going to really depend, obviously, how you guys see the rotation. I personally think that Nate Johnson's going to be the 2. And then I think Coach is going to be a 3. I think Nate's stronger and better athlete, but it's going to be more situational how they feel because Coach has the size advantage. And Coach is a little bit, I wouldn't say positionless, but he can play 3 positions if he wanted to. Like, he's played a little point guard this year. He plays the combo guard position well. And then in terms of, playing it in Serbia last year for the under-18s, he was primarily a catch-and-shoot spot-up specialist in the 3. So I think it's just going to be dependent on how Tang wants to develop him.
Let me transition over to Elias. I know it's Elias. I got to clarify, is it Rapieque? I've heard a little bit of everything.
Rapieque.
Okay, Rapieque it is. Got you. Okay, so Rapieque, I'm curious. He's had some I mean, he's not playing a ton of minutes over in EuroLeague. Obviously, that's a kid that's 20-something, and he's working his tail off against former pros, former college basketball players. But there's the numbers that he put up at Pro B, and they were pretty dang good. I mean, guys averaging like 15, 6, and 6 there, a true three-level player. And I want to ask, because I think a lot of people would be curious to hear, how do you feel that Pro B ball basketball stacks up to Big 12 basketball in terms of an overall talent, however you evaluate that? What's the difference there? How do you feel?
So I'd say Pro B is definitely a lot worse in my opinion. It's essentially it's where the youth gets to kind of flourish a little bit, and then you mix it in with a little the older German pros that are kind of washed a little bit in that sense, and they're kind of fizzling out of their careers. And so it's more so developmental standpoint league. It's actually one of the few leagues in Europe that is non-paid. Obviously, Elias gets paid, but it's because he's with Berlin. So whenever he goes plays for a match there, he doesn't get any earnings. And so I think the interesting thing with Elias is because he plays in Pro B, for example, for Berlin's secondary team, and he is playing point forward. If you watch him in U20s for Germany, he played point forward. The only time he's not playing point forward is when he was with Berlin, but obviously it's the EuroLeague. It's such a high level you can't even put him in that position. Mm-hmm. But I think with the way Kansas State Tang played a little bit of Coleman Hawkins, they put him in that role. I can really see Elias. I can definitely see Elias playing some. He handle the ball, he could bring it up, and then create some plays for others. I think he's super versatile in that aspect.
Now, I know when the official news dropped, I am super high on Rapieque. I think he's a damn good player, and I'm curious in your opinion. Is he a plus athlete? Is he a minus athlete? There's conversations saying the kid's not athletic. I don't see that. I've seen the highlights you posted. I've seen some of the different clips. The dude looks like an athlete to me. Looks like he's in shape. He's doing well. How do you feel about that? Is he a plus athlete? Is he an average athlete? Is he minus? How would you evaluate that?
I'm going to say something. I'm going to be completely honest. I think people view him as a poor athlete, and it's because he's a little overweight. That's like the main reason. I actually think he grew up really he was really overweight when he was 14, 15. You should see his work ethic. Just watch one session with him. He works so damn hard. He's completely transformed his body. He's about 6'8", 230. He's really just now he's pretty slim. And then now the biggest thing that he worked on in the past year at Berlin was foot speed. Working on his functionality. And right now, when you watch him playing in the EuroLeague, for example, he's taking it to the rim against guys in possessions in a spot up, and he's getting right past them for easy twos. And I think that's the most impressive thing, is because in the EuroLeague you're going against high major athletes. And again, those guys are more technical and they're more skilled, but you're still, athletically speaking, that's high major, that's Big 12. Again, you're not going to have a Houston level team anywhere in Europe. That's going to be new for him. So there's definitely going to be some changes, but in terms of athleticism, I think he's completely a functional athlete, where he's not going to – I never really looked at him as a poor athlete. I'd say vertically he's not crazy explosive, but he can still throw it down. I'd say the biggest thing is he's quick enough to get by guys, which is going to be, I think, fine. I wouldn't say a Coleman Hawkins level athlete, but I'd say I can see where people are coming from in that sense,
Absolutely, man. And I'm curious about this. This is kind of obviously it's a different degree. One guy's going to be making millions and millions with NC State now, and this is here at Kansas State. It's a little bit different. I feel like I see a little bit of Texas Tech's Darian Williams in his game. I know they're two different playing fields as of right now, but how does that comparison hit you?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with the comp. I'd say more so Rapieque is going to be more so. I think a connector is what I would say his comparison would be. I can't really give a player comp, but in terms of his role, he'd be a connector where you can run some offense for him and he can create for others. But at the same time, if you're not putting him in that position to create, he's on the low block, he's making quick reads, finding other guys. And if he wants him, he can post up. He's a solid post finisher. I'd say here's the most underrated aspect about him. And I think people, because he's not a great shooter, and so I think question marks are going to be arising from that. If you can't shoot at a high enough level, you might, have some struggles with that. But here's the upside with him. I think people, and I've read some thoughts on what people have said about him, and I just don't see where they're coming from. I think he's a really good defender, in my opinion. And you can watch some of the film in the EuroLeague and in the German BBL. He is holding all players, opposition players, in isolation to 1 in 21 shooting. Only one time they scored against him in the isolation, and he just has really good foot and lateral speed, so he can contest that really well. Again, I mentioned 6'8", 230. He's really strong. He's got a big time size advantage when he matches up against guards, and obviously what position he plays, he's a little positionless, so you could play him at the 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you want to really go small ball 5, you can. So I just think he's just really unique. You can't really compare him to anyone, I feel like. And then in terms of looking at the EuroLeague, he was only averaging 3 points per game. It's obviously the EuroLeague. Berlin's a really bad team. They've been terrible, and so they had the luxury for him to play a lot more. But I do think he's gained substantial reps, and I think in terms of college, he's definitely going to double that production. But if he can get like 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and pretty good defense, I don't think any Kansas State fan would be complaining about that production.
Not one bit, at least in my opinion. I think that'd be a dang good start for sure. And the main guy that's kind of been behind the scenes for Kansas State doing some of this international recruiting and diving into that world has been Anthony Winchester. I know you guys have had some conversations. You have a bit of a working relationship with the guy. What has been your opinion of Anthony Winchester on that front? I know that you and A-Dub have had some conversations, at least a working relationship here and there. What's your evaluation of A-Dub on the recruiting sense? I'm interested to hear your side of that.
Yeah, Anthony's a great man. Really, really, really great dude. Talking with him, phone calls. He's super helpful, and I'd say the biggest thing for Kansas State fans to know about him is he's been grinding the international trail. That was something where when I first had the conversation with him, is he really wanted to go international heavy. And I've talked to a lot of coaches before in the past that they want to go internationally and they want to recruit, but they don't really know how to, essentially. And I like Anthony a lot because he's actually taking the strides to go there. He went to Europe actually to watch Elias. And that's kind of how the conversation flowed with Milan, his agents. And so watching him in person, that gave obviously confirmation that he is what they think he is. He's a very solid, versatile player. They got to know him personally, which is going to help anytime recruiting when you talk to a player in person, especially for international players. You don't know them. It's hard to recruit. Zoom calls can be effective, but in person obviously would help a ton. So they did a really good job with Elias, and then same thing for Kostic. So I'd say Anthony is just, this is a new market for Kansas State staff, and they obviously have to figure out the best way to recruit. So I do like their approach of making it a hands-on experience to recruit for overseas players.
Well, man, it's time to ask the question that everybody's looking for. Not to put you on the spot, deflect if you need to, toss this question out if you need to, but where does Kansas State go from here? There's been conversations in the front court a little bit. We still don't know what's happening with the eligibility for Tyreke Smith. There's some back and forth on that. Where does this roster need to go to, take the next step forward?
Yeah, so I say for sure, I think they're going to go, they're definitely going to go international, I'd say. It's right now the portal is dry, and the only way to spend big money is getting a professional from overseas. Right now, I know they've had some concerns with Tyreke Smith's eligibility. I couldn't give you a verdict on where that stands, but in terms of where they're going to go, is they're going to definitely get a five-man. That's their main focus. If you look at the roster, obviously every other position you could say is really solid at this point. You add one more true 5, that's going to help a ton. I can't give too much names, but the one name that I'm sure I've already seen Kansas State fans talk about it would be Bryce Desert, the French big who's 7 foot, 250 pounds. He played Euro camp against Andrej Kostic, actually, so they have some experience playing against each other. And so that would be the only one. It would depend on eligibility. And obviously, if they can land him, nothing is obviously confirmed or locked up, but that'd be their main target as of now.
Well, I got to tell you, I love to hear that, man. His game is exciting. It's fun. It's, the dude dunks everything. It feels like he's just really special on the basketball court. And at this point in the cycle, that's a really, really good ad if they can pull it off. But that's another conversation for another day. As of right now, let me ask you, man, let me jump into your life here, man. You are the dude. I mean, I've said it before, but you are the guy. I think I've mentioned it in maybe 15 different videos. You're kind of the international recruiting guru. You are the guy that is kind of the ringleader here and there, and you have different people here hitting you up, different coaches, different players, different agents, different scouts. What's your phone like these days, man? Are you just blowing up nonstop? How's the daily workflow looking for you?
Appreciate that. It means a lot. Yeah, it varies. Like some days it'll be more active and I'm doing more phone calls. Some days I just don't really, get much calls or texts, and it's going to depend on the situation. My biggest thing is like whenever anyone calls, of course, and they ask the question about international, I'm just trying to be as helpful as I can to anyone. I think I've noticed that some coaches have a very good understanding of international basketball, where to the point that they don't even really need to contact me if that's the case. And there's some that obviously just don't really understand the levels to it. So I'm very open to helping out anyone. My hope is really just to enable a scouting service with international players. So maybe there can be a way to help as much people as I can, really. Because again, I know this is a big thing. International basketball is now a big recruiting strategy, and you can get these kids for a little bit less than portal players. Still got to pay money for them, but you're getting seasoned veterans. They play at high levels, and then for the agency side of things, it helps agents as well put some of these kids in college basketball who could have stayed pro, but now you go college, you get a big time pay raise. Because if you even look at, like, I'll just use this for example. Again, like Bryce Feaser, for example, he's only making $100K in France. He could get, I'm not saying what Kansas State's offering or trying to get, but they can get it a lot more than $100K as an agent side of it. So there's advantages and opportunities for every situation. And I think the way I see it is college basketball is a great platform for these players to showcase themselves. And then for the agency side of things, and for the coaching side of things, it's a great way to build connections and build with the agents and, of course, the clubs and federations over in Europe. So, I'm just trying to be the link between all those sides of people,
Man, you are the best. I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of the Joe Tillery Show, the YouTube channel, all the people listening along. We appreciate you being here. I've been fanboying over you for a while. That'll probably continue, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time, man.
For sure, no question. Thanks for having me on.
Well, that was Arman Jovic, the man himself. It might be Jovic. I could be butchering that. If I am, it's my bad. Right after the interview finishes up. But what a guy, dude. What an awesome dude. And he'll lead us into our next topic here I'll talk about on the channel. But before I do, let me hit a fan-submitted question. A screenshot of these, so let me get this thing pulled up real quick. What a good conversation, dude. I'm fired up about that. But this is our first question of the day to talk about. This, I believe, is from my guy, John Grove. I've been having this one sit on my phone for a while because I thought it was a good question. How do you handle the challenge of covering a team during tough seasons while maintaining optimism and engagement with your audience? So, for starters, I'm slumped over crazy right now, so let me try to freaking adjust. I just got new dang Razor scooter wheels for this chair that slide me everywhere, but it's a great question. I think that sometimes people have a hard time separating the sport itself from their own self-worth, or the numbers from their own self-worth. And I am definitely a victim of doing that. I'm not saying I'm not. Everyone wants to see big numbers. Everyone wants to see views and support, and everybody wants to see comments that love you and vice versa. But at some point, like, when you do this whole YouTube side of things, because you have to create your own fan base, you have to create your own following. You are not independent of these teams, because obviously that's the conduit to get your content out there. If I had to give one type of advice to use in that sense, I don't know if it's going to strike the right way or get off my tongue the right way, but people are going to support you for you. If you make this content your own personality, if you bleed your own personality in, like, I know it's a dumb example, but I'm sitting here drinking my fun glass and I'm hanging out and I'm just, talking to you guys like you're my friends, right? Which, granted, you are my friends. I'm not saying I'm not. But it's different than, like, the stiff, I have to wear a tie, I have to sit at a table and do like the CBS show or ESPN's Game Day. Like, you want to make it your own. Find your own way to connect with the audience and be yourself. Like, people are going to support you, obviously because of you, but the content you provide them is what's going to get you to that point to start connecting with people. Like the people you meet in public or the people, you see at the supermarket, or I usually say grocery store, but I felt real old saying supermarket there. But you just meet people, you come in contact with them, but the content will always be what gets the people to you. It's up to you to keep them. It's up to you to keep them around supporting you, because after all, you are a business, you are a brand, and there's a lot that goes to that. But at the same point, just be you, man. If you like stupid jokes or like dad puns, do dad puns. Put dad puns in your videos. Even if people don't like it, like, eventually someone will, like, okay, this is my guy. If you like weird, obscure references from the 80s, pull that out. You know what I mean? Like, do your own thing. But it's just about being yourself. How to maintain optimism is a different thing, because I also think this: you don't need to be optimistic all the time. You don't need to be pessimistic all the time. You should communicate however you feel. If K-State goes out, like, let's get an example, that BYU game that we lost after the big winning streak, that really sucked for K-State basketball. That sucked. My pivot is just don't make videos. That's a dumb pivot. Don't do that. Don't take after me. But if you're going to be negative, at least be true to yourself. Like, people won't just show up when good things are happening. Like, Some will, don't get me wrong, but the point is like, not everyone's going to love you, not everyone's going to hate you. How do you handle the challenges of it? Just be yourself and get through it, man. You just got to thug it out one day at a time, but when the team sucks, it's hard to make content. I think everybody agrees with that, everybody knows that. But it's just about pushing through, like build your fan base around yourself, but use the content as a conduit to bring people in. So if you can connect with people, they will support you whether the team is good or bad. They just might not want to hear, like they don't want to hear why it's going to be okay or why it's going to be negative. Everyone's going to have their own reactions. The biggest thing is not telling people how to be fans. That stuff happens all the time on Twitter. It happens all the time on YouTube. It's just however people are going to respond, they're going to respond accordingly. Be yourself, give your own takes. People will challenge you. People will love you, whatever the case is, but you just got to push through. I think fun content like this, like I'm going to talk to you about my bachelor party in a couple topics, and that's not K-State related at all. When you get to a certain point of trust with your fan base and audience, they start to lean into you and listen to you and respect you. So it's a little bit different than just to say, if K-State's good, people will show up. If they're not, they won't. That would be my advice. I don't know if that really makes any sense, but that's kind of the general vibe of what I try to go for. Doesn't always work, but that's at least the idea I try to present. Next topic, folks. I'm not going to talk about my bachelor party yet. That's another topic away. Arman's a great dude, man. Arman's a great dude. I think he's a great example of what I'm about to say for this topic. I want to brand myself as the dude, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to deliver this, but in media, so many people are egotistical. They think that because they provide this content or this content, it makes you better than this or this. It's not about that. Like, yeah, that's going to happen regardless because it's a competitive niche. Like, every one of us is going to be replaced by AI in 10 years. That sucks. We'll figure that one out together. But the point of what I'm saying is, in media, I want to brand myself as the guy you want to have a beer with. Joe's a chill guy. Doesn't matter what walk of life you meet me in. If you meet me in at a wedding, if you meet me in at this, like, obviously we don't always have to drink. I'm not trying to say that for, I'm not trying to be an alcoholic out here, but the point of what I'm saying is like someone that you could go sit at a bar with and talk for an hour and just enjoy their company. That's the type of dude I want to be with. Doesn't matter if that's with, head coach Chris Kleiman or if that's with, like, damn, it could be like Hunter Dickinson. Doesn't really matter who it is. If you can be yourself and be a chill dude, like, if you want to be someone that people get along with or you get along with others, like things are going to happen for you. Good things are going to happen for you. Doors are going to open. It's kind of what happened with Arman. Like I've just been a big fan of him for a long time. And one day the doors opened to have a conversation with the guy and it was awesome. Like you want to make friends where you can, be yourself. And I think that that's kind of the next like vibe for me. And I feel like I've kind of always been that naturally, not trying to be much of a people pleaser, but I mean more so like, whether you be the highest dude up at ESPN, like I was able to have a couple beers with the Action Network's Brett McMurphy in Vegas, had an awesome time. It was a weird circumstance how I ended up there. We were at Circa watching games and a buddy of mine knew him and it was like, I swear I've seen you like a bunch before. You look so familiar. He's like, oh, Brett McMurphy. And I was like, I have no reason to be talking to you. You are so famous and so smart and so good at what you do. But I was myself. I had like 7 White Claws sitting there, hung out with the dudes. It was a really great time. Now he follows me on Twitter. Shout out Brett McMurphy. He's my guy. But it could also be a dude that is just starting his first day like on the YouTube channel. It could be just anyone in the world. Like being yourself, being a friend to people will never get out of style. Be yourself. Enjoy life. That's kind of the topic I wanted to go to here. And I don't mean to sound more uplifting. I think that last question kind of got me in this preachy mode. So if you hate that, I apologize. But I just want to say like, it doesn't matter if it's a head coach. Doesn't matter if it's somebody that technically should hate me. Like if it's freaking Bill Self or something like that or whatever. Bill Self shouldn't hate me, I guess. But the point is like, if it's someone that you don't expect to get along with, just be chill. Be yourself. It's going to be cool, man. And like if you can get to that point where you're just chill and laid back, it's like, let's go have a beer with that guy. Find your similarities rather than differences. Life's better. Life's better in every walk of life. And Arman's the best. Like just feels like a dude that I'd go hang out with, go have a beer with. He's also surprisingly young. I feel like he's got so much knowledge and wisdom about the game of basketball that it's like you kind of expect these dudes to be, older up age-wise. And that's not always the case. Obviously, I'm 25, so it's not like... I'm not trying to say I'm a genius at basketball. Don't say that. But the point is like, cool guys will always win out. Be a nice guy. But not like a cool jock guy. Just be yourself, dude. If you enjoy something, other people will flock to you. And that's really freaking cool. So Arman's a great example of that. He's a dude I want to have a beer with. Awesome dude. Feel like I could pick up the phone and call that guy at any time if I needed to just to talk and bounce things off. That's kind of the vibe I want to do with media guys. And it's the same way I have it like Tim Fitzgerald, I feel that way. The guys that go Power Cat, I feel that way. The guys that, on 3 or 3 Mall, the different people and any of those guys. Like, it's just about being yourself, being cool, helping the person out for you. Like that quote that's, a candle never loses its wick. I don't know what the freaking technical term is, but one candle doesn't lose anything by lighting another candle. that's a cool comment. I try to do that in the sports industry. But obviously in this case, Arman way more successful than I am, and so I'm grateful that he jumped in here and talked with us. So shout out to my guy one time. Let me do another question. We'll move on to the bachelor party topic, folks. I'm rotating for this one because my back is kind of hurting, so I'm rotating, folks. Oh, it's so much freaking better. Also, shout out to this lavender chair. This thing is beautiful. And for those wondering at home, because I feel like this might be something, it's a Cam Carter jersey. I don't know if you can see the 5 on here. C5, one time, my guy. I know that it didn't work out well in the end for K-State, but super humble, super cool, super nice to me the whole way. Support that guy forever. But let me answer this question. Record prediction for the two teams that make the Big 12 title game. Kansas State's in the title game. They're going to go 11-1. We'll lose some game somewhere. It won't be the Iowa State game. I feel good about playing Matt Campbell early in the season. Who they play against? Good freaking question, dude. I could totally see it being Texas Tech. Not because they're good, not because they're whatever. They have so much talent there, and I know that that could also be a recipe for 8-4, but at some point, it's like Texas where it's like, you add everybody that's incredible at football, eventually something's going to work out. Their season still depends on the health of Baron Morton. I really like the kid Will Hammond behind him, though, so I feel like that could almost be a Will Howard, Adrian Martinez type thing. So they could be really good. I haven't actually thought about this too hard. I'm going to make my prediction and say K-State and Texas Tech meet up in the Big 12 championship game. K-State 11-1, Texas Tech 10-2. I'm cool with that right now. Next topic. I owe Coach Matt Driscoll an apology. And I got to say, I'm sorry, Coach, from the bottom of my heart. You're not watching this, but if you are, I'm sorry, brother. The last video, I raved about Coach Driscoll for like 7 or 8 minutes. Turns out I didn't rave about the right Driscoll. Not Chase Driscoll, his son, who's also on the staff. I raved about former NFL quarterback Jeff Driscoll, who spells his name completely different. Because my brain was playing Madden, and I'm over here like, who's a great backup quarterback? Immediately start talking about Jeff Driscoll, who used to play for the Bengals and run all over the field. Matt Driscoll, I'm sorry, Coach. Coach, I apologize. Please do not hate me. If you're watching this, I love you, brother. Also, we got to talk on the channel sometime. That'd be crazy. But yeah, I owe Coach Driscoll an apology. Shout out to those commenters that mentioned that. They're like, who the hell is Jeff Driscoll? And I was like, oh, he's a former NFL quarterback. He's like, why are you talking about him? And I was like, yeah. So Coach Driscoll, I apologize. I'm excited for Matt Driscoll's offense. And I'm going to be really self-conscious if I mess it up a second time. I think it's Coach Matt Driscoll from North Florida. Talented dude. I know everything about the guy except for his first name, apparently. That's the type of guy I am, forgetting everybody's name and not helping you guys out. But yeah, so Coach, I really apologize. I love you. Thank you for being at Kansas State. Next question. Is Taryn Sides the greatest basketball player in the state of Kansas this upcoming season? I need some qualifications here. Is she the best player from the state of Kansas that will play basketball in the state of Kansas this season? Or is she the best player in the state of Kansas this upcoming season? Is it just the best women's basketball player in the state of Kansas? What's the case here? Because I truly think the best player to play basketball in the state of Kansas this year, it's going to be between Jay Haggerty, who's already been a second-team All-American, and it's going to be Darren Peterson, who I expect to be an All-American as well for Kansas. There's a lot of damn good talent in the state of Kansas. If it's a kid from the state of Kansas, she's right up there with the best of them. I mean, I can't tell you, like maybe the Cavs play an away game at Sprint Center for some reason. Dean Wade comes back, but no. I think that it's going to be, if I have to say the best player to play in the state of Kansas, that's the question. That's the way it was asked. I'm sticking with this. The best player to play basketball in the state of Kansas is the guy that's already proven to be an All-American in college basketball. Had a burp halfway through that. It's going to be PJ Haggerty. Already been a second-team All-American. I'd be foolish to pick anyone else. Darren Peterson, close second. Taryn Sides might be third. I mean, it depends if you want to look at it and say it's the whole genre, if it's a kid from the state of Kansas. There's too many clarifications to say who's going to be where. I think Kostic is going to be damn good. I'm sure KU will have somebody that averages 15, 4, and 3 just because it's the way it goes. But I really, really like PJ Haggerty. I think Darren Peterson's going to be a damn good player. Also, AJ DeBonsa will definitely play in the state of Kansas at one point. Don't know if it'll be in Lawrence or Manhattan. I think it's Manhattan. He will be the best player to play basketball in the state of Kansas. That's where I'll say that. Moving on to the next topic real quick, folks. I'm running out of things here to talk about, but I haven't even talked about the damn bachelor party yet. Folks, let me jump on the bachelor party. This Friday, you'll be without content for a little bit, which sucks because it's Ian Premer's visit weekend, and if he commits, I'm going to feel like a real asshole. That said, I will be at the Lake of the Ozarks for a week. It's a week-long bachelor party starting this Friday. That's a long time. And that's a lot of beer. I'm going to tell you that right now. Shout out to Manhattan Brewing Company hooking us up with a half keg. It's 155 12-ounce pours of Tang Party, which is my favorite beer from them. Really love those dudes. Thank them for all they do. They're awesome. My two brothers, my cousin, and then a couple of my buddies are all heading down from various spots. I've got a buddy in North Carolina. I've got a buddy in Tulsa, Oklahoma, one in Florida. I've got a couple around the state of Kansas coming back for it. There's going to be some dudes there. My family's coming down as well periodically. My stepdad and some family friends as well. There's going to be a lot of people. I've been on survival mode. That said, this week has also felt like when you're sitting there the last week in school and you're counting down the minutes, counting down the hours, counting down the seconds, waiting for that clock to dismiss you for the summer. Like the last week of elementary school in 5th grade where you're sitting there staring at the clock, waiting for that thing to tick, and you're convincing yourself, that was the widest I've ever had my eyes open right in that light. That was really bright. When you're staring at the clock and you're saying, all right, I just need 15 seconds to pass 38 more times today. And then you start counting down through. It's that. Because I'm counting down till Friday. We're going to leave Friday afternoon. If any news happens, you do not want to see me on camera while I'm at the bachelor party. I'm going to say it that way. There will not be enough of sober Joe who has any type of thought process other than survival. That's a bad way to frame it. Other than hanging out, having fires, grilling food, swimming, hanging out, partying. It'll be a little bit of everything. There might not be much outside of like a hell yeah occasionally or like this Cam Carter jersey. C5 at the bachelor party, you bet. I am going to say there's probably not going to be a lot of news in my brain at that point. I will be out of the loop for about a week and a half. So if anything happens, let me know. Someone call me, someone text me if you got my number, or just tag me a bunch on Twitter till I see it. I might check my phone once a day. That said, you guys might be without content for a little bit. I will be back Saturday the 28th. That's a Saturday. Yeah, I'll be back Saturday the 28th working back in the studio. Those first couple of videos might hurt because I might not have many brain cells left, but I'm preparing. I have loaded up on sunblock, both spray and lotion. I've loaded up on aloe because I'll need it. I'm going to try to buy as much hydration stuff as I can. Not as much of a liquid IV guy, more of a what's that called? Element type guy. I don't have a subscription service, but my mom does, so she's sending us with some just to get some electrolytes in our body. Probably get a 12-pack of Celsius just because you need something to kick you in the ass a couple times. But if you guys have any survival tips, man, if you guys have any bachelor party experience out there, or even if you don't and something fun just pops in your head, give me a shout. Give me a shout. Also, this is probably a good point, 36 minutes into this video. Probably not that long. If you want to support the channel, support me on the bachelor party, I will leave my Venmo and Cashapp in the description of this video. Send me money if you feel like it. Please don't send me money if you don't feel like it. This is not a decree. This is not an official like, oh, please help me out. I need money. That's not the case. Money's great. Save your money. If you want to buy me a beer, send me $3. That's totally fine. I'd appreciate anyone who does. But let's jump into the next topic. Send me your survival tips in the comment section or on Twitter. I will appreciate it. Next and final question, I think, ish. Maybe we'll see if that happens. And then I've got a couple more questions to say for next time. The final fan-submitted question for this one. I'm trying to decide which one I want to roll with. Who is someone getting overlooked on the basketball team this year that will make an impact? If you've supported the channel, if you've supported me, you should know my answer to this question. You should know my answer to this question. The man that's getting overlooked is one of the three guys that stuck around. It's not David Castillo. I think David Castillo will be about a 6 point per game guy this season. I think he'll take a step forward and be a contributor. Moby Ike Garuka is a good retention. That's a good thing to have. You need a guy that's going to defend, play 10, 12 minutes, play 15 minutes, rebound his ass off. You're going to need some positional versatility. Now, Moby's not a 5. Don't put him out there small ball 5. He rotated in for David Gasson and Coleman Hawkins, but Moby Ike Garuka is an asset. Go back and watch that dunk he had against Arizona. Also, that entire game was a Moby masterclass. When he was on the basketball court, he was like plus 1,000. That's not true. I don't actually know what the exact numbers were. Probably like plus 4 or plus 5. But Moby went out there, and that clip of him defending all around the three-point arc 3 times and then snagging the board still and pushing it in pace. We're going to be thankful that Team Moby stuck around. Moby Ike Garuka is the guy that's being slept on and will make an absolute impact. Final thoughts before I'm out of here. Quick one. Whoever's doing it, stop with the freaking Facebook post saying Chris Kleiman's turning down a $30 million contract to go to Tennessee. Stop with the Facebook post saying Kansas State flips the duo of twins from Georgia on a record $15 million NIL. There's just nothing but clickbait right now on Facebook, and that baffles me. Like, I post my fair share of videos. Actually, I guess I haven't done that in a while. I post my videos in the K-State family Facebook group chat. Sometimes I do. I've kind of been forgetting lately. I got to do that with this one. So if you're here from that, thank you. We got to stop with these fake headlines, with the fake stories that are just AI generated to say, Avery Johnson turns down a record-breaking $80 million NIL deal to transfer to Texas Tech. What are we doing? Clicks are not that worth it. Like, this video could get 10,000 views. There's a good chance I'd make $100 max on that. Maybe. Clicks cannot be driving that much traffic unless you're doing some record stuff. And that's on a video where you're required to watch for a little bit of time. You're not required, but I try to keep you around for a little bit. The clicks aren't worth that. What are we doing? Knock that crap off. Lastly, I'm going to get out of here. I've been talking for too long. It's been too long already. But I'll talk to you guys soon. Joe Tillery, the Joe Tillery Show episode 3 will be here at some point. Thank you to Arman Jovic for one more time for jumping on the channel. Thank you for all the love and support for the last episode. Thank you for what's going to happen on this one. I will talk to you all soon. I might check in from the Bachelor party with a quick minute video to update you guys. But please leave your tips. Please help support however you can. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that and more. And I'll talk to you soon. Go Cats, baby.